This is To the Bar. Strength in every story. And now for today's show.
Anyway, welcome to the bar. I'm Jess Roebuck-Soney.
I'm Aaron Holt.
And we have just, I say just, I feel like just recovered. We've just got back from Paris, from the 2024 Paris Olympics.
Yeah, what an experience.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, it was pretty epic.
Yeah.
I'm knackered still. It was a lot of weightlifting.
Yeah.
In a great way.
How many did you said about? It was about 500 lifts, I think we saw.
I hadn't thought about it in terms of how many lifts we saw. I just thought about it in sessions. Well, actually, I just thought about it in hours of the day that we were at the venue. So we got there. We left here on the Thursday morning, didn't we? Very early Thursday morning, and travelled over on the Eurotunnel. Your first experience.
That's pretty
on
weird.
The train.
Car on a train.
Yeah, car on a train, which actually was remarkably easy.
Yeah, super quick.
Yeah, it was a nice way of doing it. So we got there for the Thursday, sort of mid-afternoon time, didn't we? We missed all of the lifting on the Wednesday and the Thursday.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Which was the men's 61s and the women's 49s. Whilst I stop there. Thank you, Seb. This was amazing. For those of you who didn't sign up and get Seb's or Weightlifting House's guide to the Olympics or guide to the weightlifting at the Olympics, more for you, because this was just brilliant.
Yeah.
It was fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was our little Bible. We both had one in our backpacks and it got whipped out quite regularly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we missed which ones? Men's 61s and women's 49s, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a shame. It was a shame, but I mean, it was so difficult, wasn't it, when the lot came out to even get the 3 tickets for the weightlifting. Never mind get tickets for everything, because I would have loved to have seen Jordan De La Cruz and Hampton Morris.
Yeah,
I mean,
2 favourite lifters for us, really, aren't they?
And there's plenty of other lifters in that group. I can't think who else was in there now off the top of my head, but I definitely would have liked to have seen that group. So it's a shame, really, that we missed them.
Yeah, well, Lee Fabian, of course. I mean, that would have been pretty amazing.
Yeah.
He's so strong.
Not that you didn't see him, but we'll come to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So we got there on the Thursday, and we had a Airbnb, which was, again, pretty great. Glad we went with that. And just went off into the city, didn't we?
Yeah, we're really lucky because a couple of our friends, Chloe and Dash, they'd sort of basically organised all of that part to it. We just
rocked up.
Sat in the back of the car like 2 naughty children.
Yeah, I felt like a 10-year-old again.
Yeah.
It's like I just got told where to be and when. It was great. It was awesome.
It was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we went out for dinner.
Yes.
Where did we go?
Oh, we went to a little restaurant just to the left of the Eiffel Tower called Emily's, and we stopped because it looked bougie, and Ash and Chloe are quite bougie. They like a nice,
what was their
expensive.
drink?
Well, it's that €28 limoncello that I'll never stop talking about. €28 for a limoncello, but mainly because it was called Emily's and obviously Emily Campbell. So we had to stop there. And we'd stopped because we'd been over to the Eiffel Tower, but it was daytime, and it was lovely to see the Olympic rings on the tower, but we wanted to see it at night, didn't we?
Yeah, in its glory.
Yeah, went and got something to eat, and lo and behold, whilst we were in there, bumped into...
yes, Ollie.
Ollie White from...
Winners 2000?
Yes, down in Devon, Yeah, it was pretty amazing how many British people we bumped into just wandering the streets of Paris.
It was quite weird, wasn't it? It was like a who's who of British weightlifting, really. All representatives from all the different clubs. So it was great that everyone, so many of you guys turned up to support. It really was great to see everyone's so many friendly faces, really.
Yeah, so then obviously we went from there, we went over to the Eiffel Tower, which, I mean... I had sort of expected it because it was the Olympics, and any event nowadays you expect a lot of police presence and army presence. But I was quite thrown when we first got there, I think, by how many armed officers there were just sort of knocking about. And was a little bit worried to begin with about going down towards the Eiffel Tower at night time, but it was really lovely. It was probably a highlight for me, was getting down there, and just as we arrived, they turned on the little sparkly lights, didn't they? Which was, yeah. For anybody that missed it, I think there's a video on the Instagram we put on, because it was really special. The French did do that really well.
Yeah, it looked pretty amazing. And then when they put on the Christmas tree flicker lights sort of thing, it was just, everyone just stopped in the tracks. No matter what you had to record or photo-wise, you were just there, pointing up, taking pictures and videoing. It was pretty special.
Yeah. So then the next day was the Friday. So then we had 2 groups on the Friday, right?
Yes, we did. We had...
Women's 71s and men's 89, surely.
Indeed.
But in the Friday morning, I'm going to give them a shout out, even though I've already forgotten their names. We trained.
Oh.
We went to a really friendly CrossFit gym.
I
want to say Lux.
It was. Luch. I deleted the app.
God knows, but they were lovely. They were very welcoming.
Yeah.
Although I will say, it was like training in a saw dungeon. Yeah. I've got a video of Aaron that I might share on the To The Bar Instagram at some point, just doing a lovely little snatch in a corner. But it looks like you were about to be sold for organs. It was a very strange little area.
Yeah, it was fucking hot.
Yeah, it was very warm. But again, even in there, we bumped into that British kid that we'd refed at Lower.
Yeah.
Came over and asked for water. I can't remember his name. But yeah, just training in a random CrossFit gym in France. It was so lovely how many British lifters were over there.
And then the Irish dude came as well.
Again.
Teague.
Yeah.
He turned up. Who we'd refed at.
It's too many places we've refed.
Bucks. But he was down there, obviously for the weightlifting, but was training because he's got the Irish Nationals next week, or this week rather.
Yeah.
So good luck to him.
But I just wanted to give them a shout out, as if I can remember the name of their gym, just because they were so friendly, and they did have a lovely little corgi.
Did they? Oh yeah.
Yes, I gave it lots of attention before we left.
I was getting changed in the changing rooms that was open to the public.
Plan to the world.
Literally onto the streets of Paris.
I mean, it's the French.
Women had to walk through the men's changing room.
Try being the woman that had to walk out backwards and be like, is it safe for me to leave, or is there just a wang hanging out somewhere?
The guy said when he walked through, he said, "This is the men's changing rooms, that's the women's." He said, "We're typically French, you just the ladies." Yes,
so that was it was an interesting one, but it was nice, wasn't it, to sort of. I like collecting gyms, so I don't know that I could have gone to France and not trained somewhere. So that was great. And then to do that and then go to Women's 71s, I think was first.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
It was, because we got them the wrong way around when we did the...
That was the next day when I thought it was Women's 81s and actually it was Men's 102. I was very tired.
Blur into one.
I was very tired is all I'm going to say. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Toma.
Yes.
He's going to check his weightlifting house book, which is what we did every day when we didn't know if we were coming or going. And whilst he's doing that, I'm going to explain what it was like when we got to the venue. So, when men's 73. See,
my boy,
we're all wrong. So, when you get to the venue, you get an arena on your ticket, don't you? Because obviously it was across the city, and a lot of the roads were blocked off. So we were using Ubers or walking, really, but using Ubers to begin with, and they drop you off at a drop-off point, which is as close to the arena as you can get. We were in Arena 6, I think it was, although which arena it was doesn't really matter. And before you're asked for your ticket, you walk through what I presume are some kind of body scanners or metal detectors, an archway basically, to come up to some security guards. And some people get stopped and some people don't. I would say it's random if it weren't for the fact that I was stopped every single time, and out of the group of 4 of us, but then that sometimes was 6 or 8, depending on who we'd picked up along the way, was always stopped and always searched, and the searching got worse as we went along.
Yeah, bear in mind, we were only allowed to take in 750ml bottles.
Yeah.
And we both turned up with full litre and a half bottle
Yeah.
joppies.
But that wasn't why I was stopped, because
No, but because I walked in and with a massive rucksack on, again, that was slightly oversized that I should have been taken in, and walked, they just waved me through with
Yeah.
a big bottle of
Well,
water.
Chloe walked in with all sorts of shit in her backpack she weren't supposed to have. And I was like, down the line, had exactly what I was supposed to have in my bags and about my person, and had some woman shoving her hands in my pockets and taking my cap off and scanning me. And anyway, so the security was a bit hit and miss. But once you were through that, obviously, then you did your tickets and you come into like a... it's almost like a park, I would say. Almost like if you were to go to a theme park. It kept reminding me of when you first walk into Thorpe Park or Alton Towers, and you have a sort of open plan bit with your food stalls, or where they charge you £5 to hook a duck that you're never going to win a prize on.
Like a central
like a central area.
meeting place, isn't it, really?
Yeah, so that's where the Olympic rings were. And the queue for the photo with the rings was humongous.
We never got our photos.
I got a photo from behind it.
Yeah.
There was no way I was queuing for that. No. There's a lot of
Didn't
things.
need to.
There's a lot of things I'll give some time for, but that was not one of them.
No, instead we queued to get into the shop.
Yeah, which was pointless because
8,000 people in a 10 by 10 shop.
The only thing we wanted was a
400
pin.
degrees. Yeah.
We just wanted a weightlifting pin, didn't we? But that was not to be had. So anyway, once you're in, actually, it turns out that there's a number of sports going on, and you just go up a different hill. So we had weightlifting and table tennis were the two that were in our arena. I think there was another, but I only ever really took notice of the table tennis and the weightlifting. And you just walked up a little hill, and I think we've got the walkthrough on the Instagram for anybody that's interested to see it. But the outside of the venue, I thought was quite pretty, really.
Yeah. Really sort of a diamond thing with those
like hangy lights,
lighty things.
Yeah.
I've described that really well.
Yes, yeah.
Diamond thing with lighty things.
They were like icicles, weren't they? That sort of they were like teal and pink must have been the colours. But yeah, I thought it was really nice, and it was a relatively easy process getting in and out of places. I had thought it was going to be more difficult, but with it being the QR codes on the phones, it was literally just a case of, bonjour, merci, here you go, scan my phone, and you're in.
Yeah.
And I think the first group that we saw was the men's 89s.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the 73s, I thought. It was the 89s.
It was the 89s.
Which, of course, was Carlos and Nino.
Oh, controversial Nino, yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Yes.
Do we come back to that one?
We're going to come back to Nino, I reckon. I think, let's just... the group in general. Well, actually, I don't even want to go to the group first. I want to go to the fact that men's 89s was our first experience of going into the venue, because it was... I was quite... Yeah,
so it was good seats. I guess when we first got the tickets, I guess we were a bit apprehensive about how far back we were from the stage or the platform. I can't remember what tier tickets we got.
So it's interesting, isn't it? Because you and I didn't really know each other all that much when the ballots came out. We knew each other, but we'd not long met. So I had entered a ballot separate to Chloe, who got your tickets. So at this point, my ticket for the 89 was an A class. I'd paid €180 for a front row ticket to Carlos, Nino. But you guys had the B class, which was the seats behind, but had extras. So I sold my A to sit with you, obviously, in the B class. And was a little bit sad about that for quite a while. Because like you say, you don't know, do you, when you're booking these things and they give you these tiers, and the price differences were mad, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, €24, €65, €125 or €180. That's a big difference in seat prices. But
they turned out to be pretty bloody good.
Yeah.
It was a really well laid out stadium or venue, because they crammed a lot of people in, but you never felt as though you were that far away from the platform, or so far away that you'd have to use binoculars.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there was one.
There was one woman with binoculars. Yeah.
So I was like, but
did she give you the ick?
no, it's like, what a great idea! Why didn't I bring mine?
Oh god, that would have given me the ick.
Come in with my sniper rifle, just like forwards. I mean, awesome.
That would be funny, but you didn't need binoculars for the size of the lens.
Well, yes, apparently. But no, so I mean, the seats were great, except for the size of the seats. I mean, I don't have a fat ass, but I mean, it does take up a bit of more than one seat.
They were tight, weren't they?
They were super tight.
They were tight.
And it's the shoulders. You were just sort of crammed in like that.
Yeah, they were. I mean, so for me, not really knowing what to expect, I walked into that venue and was like, wow. I mean, probably because there were so many other people, and it was really nice to see so many people turn up for a weight. That's obviously the biggest weightlifting event I've ever been to, right? So seeing that many people that excited, it gets me excited, because I get excited when there's one person on a platform, never mind when there's thousands of people waiting to see someone lift on a platform. So, and the seat positioning where we were for the 89s, which you'll see from the photos that Aaron's taken and we've started sharing onto the bar, the positioning was fantastic, wasn't it? For what we could see, it was amazing. So I remember walking in and feeling quite overwhelmed in a really like positive way, and then sitting in the seat and thinking, I can't I can't sit for 2 hours like this.
I know.
In this heat, 33-degree heat, sweating in shorts on plastic seats, everybody's legs touching. And the guy in front of me had the blowhorn
Gazoo,
for Carlos. It was just very tight. But I think that was probably the worst of it, because all the every other seat we sat in was fine.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it was about that particular one. Maybe it was just a lot of us that were fat-arsed along that row.
Yeah. Well, once I dosed up on Nurofen, a knee and backache from those stairs, it was fine.
Full
Sitting
packet
there
of
dribbling.
naproxen.
Yeah.
But the actual group.
Yes. Sorry. Back to the lifting.
Back to the actual weightlifting.
Yeah.
The actual group was incredible.
Yeah, so it was nice to see Kedamar.
Yes.
He's always a very charismatic lifter, isn't he?
Yeah.
And so to see him come out, that was great. Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to say when Carlos comes out, it's everyone.
The noise.
Yeah.
The noise for him. Yeah.
It's just.
And I've got to give him
quite special, actually.
I've got to give him respect for what he did before the lifting. You know, getting himself an Airbnb and not going to the Olympic Village, and being really open about that on Instagram, and sort of talking about his mental health and how him and his team felt like it was the best thing for his well-being and preparing for competition. And it did make me think about some of the mindset stuff that I've been trying to do obviously it's very different, but that mindset stuff that I've been really working on in my own training, and thinking, actually, I don't think I would want to be in an Olympic Village with 400,000 other athletes excited. Maybe some of them have finished compete, and he probably lost a lot of experience, but he got a world record and did his best on the platform. So I suppose it depends on what you want to get out of the experience, doesn't it?
It is weird, isn't it? Because everyone talks about I can't wait to get into the Olympic Village. Meeting with the other athletes and mixing, but the weightlifting was the tail end of the tournament, of the competition, of the Olympics, and so you can imagine. I mean, like Ramiro was out there for a month,
4 weeks before.
Yeah, 4 weeks before. So to be stuck in, I say stuck in, but to be in that Olympic Village environment of a party atmosphere, you could quite easily be distracted.
Yes,
it would derail you slightly, or your mind may not be. So for him to say, do you know what? I'm going to forsake that, and I'm here for a job.
I've trained for something. Yeah, I think I'm just too old. The idea of the Olympic Village doesn't. None of that appeals to me in the slightest. His little old timey French Villa,
man, that
yes,
looks amazing.
please, I will happily be there. But
Yeah.
so yeah, props
I
to him.
don't think I would have even turned up to the
Yeah,
tournament.
no, I'd have just stayed there. But yeah, his performance was fantastic.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And he didn't look like max effort. I don't think. I don't know if that was just wistful thinking from me, but at no point did I look at him and think he ground that out and just made it.
Yeah.
It was, it was impressive. And then there was Nino.
Yeah. That was interesting.
It wasn't interesting. It was a no lift. It was a no lift. Yeah. It doesn't detract from the fact that I have a photo of myself with him and his bronze medal that I will treasure and send to everybody. Well, every female that I know that's ever drooled over him, I've sent that photo of me and Nino too. But that's not his medal, I'm afraid. Like, I know that's mean to say.
Well,
but
it is. You know.
I mean, it is. You're right.
You lift. It's the same as football. You play to the whistle, don't you? You play to the referee. You play to whatever call comes out. I've seen people being done for good lifts have been redded out.
Yeah.
And I've seen people that like Nino did. Had a bend extend and then get a good lift.
Yeah.
It was unexplainable. There's certainly no way to disguise that.
You're right, it's his bronze. I think I speak from, I think we've had this conversation before, is that if that was me, I wouldn't want that medal. Because I would watch that and think, that's not mine.
Yeah, I didn't earn it.
Yeah. If I was Nino, I did not deserve that medal over the next lifter.
Yeah.
And so, it's his, fair and square, the jury, in their infinite wisdom, overturned the 3 red lights to, was it 3 or was it 2?
2 red, 1 white.
2 red, 1 white. Anyway, that's the jury decision. Obviously, they've been IWF refs for much longer than I've been BWL. So we'll leave that where it is. But from my perspective, and certainly from most of the audience perspectives, when it was replayed on the screen,
so many times
everybody laughed. Didn't they?
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Because it was really nice in that when there was after each lift they replayed them, and so you could see, and certainly when they had a no lift or the jury challenged it, they replayed it, and the commentator said, and let's see if you agree. And they would slow it down really well, and so you had a really good, clear view of what happened. And so everyone, when they first made the lift, everyone was like, celebrating. And then when they replayed it, because it was no lift, because of course, no lift, and everyone, quite a few Italians in the audience booing and sort of jovially. But then as soon as they replayed it, everyone was like, gutted.
Yeah, it was a no lift. Yeah.
And then it got overturned and everyone was just like, what the fuck?
There was a lot of celebrating from the Italians.
Yeah.
But what I think that was something I really liked was that when the jury intervened, it was always explained.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that. And I appreciated the replay because a lot of our seats were, we were mixed, weren't we, from face on and side on, which I liked. I really enjoyed having the 2 different angles. But wherever you are, inevitably you're going to see something different. So having the replay gave us the opportunity to see what we perhaps couldn't see from where we were sitting. And when the jury did validate a no lift or overturn, I really appreciated that the commentator explained why, for bend extend, for whatever else they were overturning for at the time. So that was great. It's something that maybe would be nice if we could introduce to the national comps here when the jury intervene, even if it's just something we do in terms of how we communicate with the TC.
Yeah.
Like, yes, the jury have said no for this, so the TC can go and tell the athlete.
Yeah.
This might just be some learning for us, but I really enjoyed that group. It was an interesting group for us to start with, I think. Yeah.
Another one that I wanted to mention as well, Javadi. Love him as lifter. Such a, unassuming lifter, but really spot on to watch. Love watching him lift. And then one more thing to mention about Carter's total was that there was a guy that I was chatting to, or replied to a message on Instagram on the post that you put up earlier, and he said that he's so good that someone from a higher weight class would need to come down and challenge him. And so I laughed, and then I suddenly had a thought, and I was like, you know what, he's not wrong, because I then went and looked at Li Huanhua, who won the gold in the next weight category at, was it 2 kilos more?
Yeah, it wasn't by
Carlos's?
much, yeah.
And
But we've had this conversation about the British before.
yeah,
About the
it's
one,
that weight class, or
yeah.
the 2 weight classes there that are so close together.
Yeah.
That
Although I
often
think in the
case-
British, is it the one... Anyway, carry on, yeah. It's often the case that one's either just pips the one above, or they're very close. But yeah.
So yeah, he was 2 kilos off the gold. He would have got silver in that, or joint silver, but I mean, depending on lot numbers. But yeah,
Madness.
it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's madness.
That's how good he is.
And how old is he? It's not young. It's not old,
20
is
or
he?
19, 20, I think.
I'm looking forward to seeing him
Yeah.
continue. Yeah.
Well, I was speaking to, I can't remember who it was, might have been Henry, but saying he's literally got, the potential of 4 golds in him.
Yeah.
It'd be 32.
Yeah, more than doable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Super strong. Privileged to see him in person. Well, to be honest, a lot of them were privileged to see in person, because it's not like we would see a lot of these anywhere else, is it?
Yep.
So then obviously that goes on to women's 71s, which was, it's very special for me. I think I enjoy watching the men lift, and I think it's probably the same for men. It's just different for me with the women, because I can obviously identify with what it's like to be a woman and lift.
Yeah.
And so seeing particularly the 71s, because I would either compete in the 64 or the 71s, as more likely the 71s now, because I can never be asked to cut. But that group, and seeing Olivia Reeves, I just think she's amazing.
Yeah.
I really do. I think what she does for young girls is really special. So, ignore how strong she is for a second, how strong she is and how unassuming she is and how polite she is, and just look at her as a woman and imagine yourself as a 15-year-old girl looking at her. She doesn't look like somebody that you couldn't be. She doesn't look like... I love Salford, but if I'd have been 15 and looking at Salford, I would never have thought one day I could look like her, one day I could lift like her, because she's a beast. She's amazing.
So yeah, she's
and Olivia is too, but she also looks and trains and comes across like a regular person, and I think that does a lot for young girls and making the sport accessible. And she did a post today that said something like, instead of why me, it should be why not me. And she was talking about herself, but I was reading it and thinking, do you know what, I hope young girls are looking at Olivia and thinking, why not me? Like, it's Olivia now, but why not me next time? Because it could be. And she's so strong and she moves so well.
Yeah.
And when we booked the tickets, because I'm not even sure we got 70, I'm not sure I got 71s in the first lot. I think by that time, me and you got tickets together with Chloe for the second lot, and we got them then. And I was so excited for Toma, and obviously I still was. But Olivia wasn't as on the scene that much then. And obviously I was really pleased that we got to see Toma. It just wasn't quite the last thing that she deserved, or the last, that's not how any of us wanted it to go for her, was it, really?
Yeah, so I've got a question, and one of them was, which the saddest moment of the lifting competition, because for me, that was that.
What, Toma?
Toma. Just one of her clean and jerks, just to make a total. Just so that she could have gone out on
I mean, yeah.
I think that was my saddest bit.
I think I found that really difficult. I don't know if it was my saddest bit, but it was definitely, I was sad.
I know what your saddest bit was.
What?
When the patisserie down the road, the boulangerie was closed
When it
on
didn't
Saturday
open
morning.
on a Saturday.
It's just-
What bakery doesn't open on Saturdays?
Yeah.
That was my saddest
No almond
moment.
croissant.
No, I mean, that was really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I everybody knows I talk about Toma all the time. I do love her. I think she's great. I think there's something going on, or something has gone on with her federation. I don't think she's felt appreciated. I think that's really come across in her training and in what she shares online and in her attitude, for lack of a better word, because anybody I've ever spoken to, or even online, quite active in the weightlifting Reddit, and people that know her as a really lovely person. But she came onto that platform and she looked heartbroken.
Yeah, very dejected.
She didn't look like she wanted to be there. And when you compare her to, some Emily Campbell, the Ecuadorian in the women's 87 plus, some of the lifters, they came out and they was just thrilled to be there. And even if they weren't jumping around, you could see that they were like, I'm on an Olympics platform, like I've earned this. And Toma just looked like she'd been beaten. She looked done. So I think her bombing wasn't my saddest moment. It was the fact that the only time I will ever see her lift in person was then. Because I've seen her lift. I've watched every training video. I've seen every competition she's ever been in. And she's come out looking she's never been a, jumping for joy, thrilled athlete, has she? She reminds me a bit of me, actually, with a bit of a resting, sort of fed up face. But that particularly, when she walked out, when they announced her, she didn't look like she wanted to be there. And so I think that was probably sadder for me than her bombing. The fact that it didn't look like she wanted a total, never mind the fact that she didn't get one. So
Yeah, got a couple of sad photos of her looking quite dejected.
Oh God, don't send me those.
After.
Oh no. But no, that wasn't my sad. There's a couple of moments that I had little eye tears. I can't think which ones they were. There was definitely one where some of them were like happy, so it wasn't sad, they were happy tears. The sad tears was the Team China thing at the end, but we'll get to that again later.
Yeah.
For my sad, so my saddest moment can be parked, but Toma would be a sad moment. It was one of.
Yeah.
But yeah, the women's 71 group was they're just so strong. They're just so strong, and it's how fast they move. It really is. Let me have a look at who else was in there that I can think of.
There's
that
the,
was like
Colombian was she in that one?
Oh, Marie, the French.
The drums. Oh.
Her as well. I really enjoyed her.
Yeah, because there were a couple of French people that obviously got host
They got
spots.
yeah.
And one guy came out and he was so funny. He came out first, so he was never going to challenge for a medal. But the sort of Gaelic sort of flair and flaying of arms, and he was very emotional. I don't know what's the word, but
we're similar, I think, with like I like Marie Fugue anyway, but similar for her, I think. And she was strong, but what I enjoyed was the French and how they got behind every single one, which obviously you expect of your host nations, but the way they really got behind her was fantastic. But really, really great group. I thought, the women's 71s.
Yeah.
Just a shame about Toma. Yeah. So that was a long day, this one.
Nino said was quite good as well from Egypt.
Yeah.
She was quite strong.
I'm not being funny, but all the Egyptians are.
Yeah. I was really sort of shocked. Not shocked. Maybe they've just been secretly coming up.
Yeah, so I don't know that it's a shock so much as sometimes for me it's I think it's probably my own, not prejudices, but countries like Egypt, I always think it's maybe harder. It must be maybe harder to be a woman and
Saudi, places like that.
Yeah, and so I always think this about Sarah Samir, which is probably why she's another one of my absolute favourite lifters. It's so culturally different to what is expected of women from that sort of Middle East area. So when so many of the Egyptians came out and just smashed it out the park, you were like, yeah, you know what, great, yeah, good for you, really good for you.
And the support for them as well.
Yeah.
You know, from their home nation.
Yeah. Same as the Ecuadorians.
Yeah.
How many people from Ecuador came to France?
Yeah, it's quite funny, isn't it? Because I remember watching, was it the Worlds? And thinking that would be so off-putting, because when you hear, the Ecuadorian lifter will come onto the platform and my God, the racket
noise
from the audience or from the small pocket of Ecuadorian supporters or Colombians, because they're the same.
Yes,
Would just, I just found really, like,
they loved it though.
Respect the tournament. Everyone else is quiet.
Yeah.
And people will turn around going like, shh, shh. But they do it for each other. So obviously they train in that environment, which is fantastic. And I'd love to see more of that. That sort of, I hate it when the music stops and you come out on the platform. It's like, mastermind, all the lights spotlight on you.
Yeah, it's not for me. It's not for me. I'll be honest, it's probably what puts me off doing all that much competing myself is that I'm just not a fan. And probably why, I'm sure we'll get to it, but one of my favourite lifters of the tournament was, I think she was from Ecuador herself.
Yeah.
And she came out on every single time as she walked up to the platform, she was trying to get people to make noise, even when they turned the music off and they were trying to make everybody quiet. She was like, nah, fuck that. And I love that energy.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to lift and you're going to be trying to go for something that you've never gone for before, or you're going for a medal, why would you not want every person in that stadium cheering you on and the music blaring and something to give you a little bit of, get up and go, silence? And I'm like, all I can hear is the inside of my head.
So, indeed. So that was Friday.
That was Friday,
That was Friday.
So that was a late... That was the other thing that I found odd, was how late those groups were finishing. I felt for the athletes in the late groups because, we weren't leaving until 9:30. It's late.
Late, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's late for them to be lifting. Anyway, that takes us to the Saturday, which was our longest day because we had 3 groups. And
it was the men 102s.
Yes, it was our first group.
Start.
It was, yeah. And this is where we did have our A-class tickets. Not only did we have our A-class tickets, but we had the front row A-class tickets for Ramiro.
Yeah.
For Ramiro Moro, who trained out of Lower with Mike Causa when Mike Causa had Lower, and still Mike is his coach.
Yeah.
And he made the Olympic refugee team. Well-deserved, really well-deserved spot there, and is obviously British national champion, and we know Ramiro quite well, so it was really, really lovely to be that close, wasn't it?
Yeah, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. When he came on the platform for the presentation, and he turned around and he saw the little pocket of us supporting him, and gave us a wry smile. And I was like, yeah, buddy.
Yeah,
you've earned that place.
Yeah.
Soak it up. Enjoy every single minute of it.
Yeah.
And I think I said to you that, that we will never get to be on that platform other than sweeping it.
Even then, I'm not being funny, but that would be a privilege. Can you imagine? Can you sweep the Olympic platform? Like, yeah, do you want me to lick it while you're at it? Like, yes, of course.
Yeah. And so if we can just live a bit of that experience through him, which we did, and some more.
And I got so it's the first time I tried the Meta glasses that we've invested in for, which we'd actually invested in more for when we TO, so that we could do a little bit more of the point of view stuff to show people what it's like on the Marshall's table and stuff. So that's the Ray-Bans that I've got the camera in. But I tried them out on those seats because we were so close, and managed to get a couple of bits of footage that I am really proud of. And they're nothing special, but there's a moment where Ramiro makes his last clean and jerk, and Mike celebrates. Oh. He celebrates with Ramiro first. He looks at Ramiro and celebrates, and then he looks to the front row because it's just British people there to support him. And I think that moment where you can sort of, it's like full circle, isn't it? Like, we've watched Ramiro train in lower, he's come to our competitions in Epsom, you know, we've refed him at every competition he's ever done within British weightlifting, and then we were there with him at the Olympics. Mike was your coach, he was my coach, like, it was a full circle moment. And for Mike to look back at us, to celebrate with us as well, felt like a really special moment for me. So to get that on camera, I thought was great. But it did also get the jury intervene for his lift. I was wearing the glasses, and I didn't put it onto the bar because I didn't want my personal views necessarily on to the bar account, because I did have some things to say. But they were great for that, for being able to really show what it was like for us to see that lift, and then see the jury. I mean, the jury did a good job. This is me back in the jury, because the refs gave him 2 reds and a white, and the jury intervened and gave him the lift because there was nothing wrong with it. And they replayed it 3 times before, and that's when I'm very clearly saying, how many fucking times have you got to watch that? See, there's nothing wrong with it. So that's the one time I will pat the jury on the back and say, yeah, okay, we needed them in that instance, because Ramiro deserved that lift. He really did. Yeah,
he did well.
Well,
super well.
Yeah. Anyway, I was so wrapped up with Ramiro in that group. Who else was in it?
Well, I mean, so the Chinese have obviously been trying to break into that category for a while. So Li Huanhua, who has been a bit of a revelation in Chinese weightlifting, and I was a bit torn because I couldn't wear my China top because, of course, I was there supporting Ramiro anyway. But I did take it with me, so I waved it around like a fanboy, and I was So when he came on, because I think it's
he was a great lifter. He is a great lifter.
I think we sort of said about Toma, and that she's quite focused, and she's not that much emotion, but he's. I think, and a lot of people apportion that to the same with Chinese lifters, that they're quite straight laced. They don't they I don't know, don't really show that much emotion.
Bred that way. Do you know what I mean? Like in the train, like it's the way they train, isn't it? It's like
such a class. I mean, they train in a massive training hall, don't they? So it's, But to see, he was really emotional at the end of it. And it was great to see, which will come on to the end as well with
we'll come back to that, but
it's lovely to see him lifting.
I'm going back to your fanboy moment, because you were such a fanboy that the Chinese people that had booked the A, well, most of the people that had booked the A tickets were Chinese people behind us, sort of adopted him, because he went off to the bathroom and left his Team China t-shirt covering his camera lens that he definitely was allowed to have. And there was an older gentleman behind me that tapped me on the shoulder to say, it's Team China. Is it Team China? I was like, yes, he's here for Team China. So he made some friends there. But he was great. Let me just have a look who else there was. Oh, Garrick. Yes, yes, Garrick's, I remember now.
Yeah, he's a really nice lifter. I like watching him lift as well.
And where's Kits?
Yeah, he surprised me, because normally he's a bit of a...
He's normally a bit grip and rip, because he came out and I said, I'm not a fan. Yeah. I don't like watching him lift, and I'm going to stick with that statement. I don't. But
there's a lot more
he
grace
was a lot better on that. It was a much more technique than... I think he's just very strong. And sometimes when I see his training videos, it just looks very much like I don't want that bar there anymore. I want it there, and it's not very graceful. But yeah, it was different. It was certainly different.
Yeah.
But yeah, Liu Honghua definitely dominated in terms of my memory of that group, Ramiro and him. So that was the start of our day. It was a very early group, wasn't it? We got there, we had to be there early for them.
Yeah.
And then we had a very brief break and went to women's 81s, which I can't say they were all my favourite. I run out of words. But the women's 81, I mean, it was the women's 81s.
So this was the first time we shifted from being a side on to being front on.
Yeah.
In front of the media section.
Yes, yeah. We had great seats there, though, I thought, because there wasn't, what was there, two rows in front of us?
Yeah, about 3 rows.
We were pretty much directly in front of the platform.
And the bald Norwegian guy with Salford written across his...
written on his head.
Great use of advertising
bold,
space, retail
Salford.
space, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those seats were great. So we were front onto the platform.
Yeah.
And I love Salford, and obviously we met her at the British.
Yeah, British.
So I had been chief marshal for her, had spoken to her in the back room anyway. She is a fantastic lifter. There's no two ways about it. She's super strong. But I was probably a little bit more excited for Sarah Samir.
Yeah.
And have been a bit of a secret fangirl for her. I've got alerts on her Instagram for when she posts, because I just think she's amazing. I don't know why she doesn't get more attention, or maybe she does and I'm just not as aware that she gets that much attention, but she seems to fly under the radar, and I'm not sure why. Because again, she strikes me as, culturally, it's maybe less expected for women to be as strong as she is, and she's so graceful when she moves.
It flies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's one of those, when you see some lifters, they make it look effortless.
Yeah, and she does. Yeah. And I have regularly sat and just gone through her. I have watched everything on her Instagram.
Are we going to have to put some sort of time limit on your...
I can't, when I can't sleep, and you just, I don't know, she's just the way she moves, and then I really like her. And so if we go back to saddest moments, it will still be the China thing at the end, but this group, the end of this group, I was in tears for numerous reasons. The first one being Salford not realising she got the gold, and her reaction to realising she got the gold and not knowing what to do with herself. All that energy reminded me of
She ran on and off the platform.
Yeah,
it was great.
I had a dog Zero, and he, when you came home, was so excited that he would run to try and find a toy, because dogs, when they don't know what to do with their energy, they get a toy, and that's their way of knowing what to do with their energy. And she went, not to refer to her as a dog.
I was going to say.
Do you know what I mean? When she
ran,
she ran back, and she was sort of to the crowd,
emotion.
I don't know what's just happened. And I thought that was such an amazing sign of a great coach, to have kept her away from a scoreboard, from what other athletes had done, how many attempts had been had, where she was placed, what she needed. She had no bloody clue.
Yeah, it's the ultimate.
A bar.
One of the things I think I've said to you before about comping, or certainly competing, is all about staying in your own lane. As soon as you start paying attention to your competitors or what's happening on around you, that's when you start forgetting about what you're there for, and you take the eye off the ball. And she didn't do that, and great credit to the coach. And she went out and smashed it, absolutely nailed it.
Yeah, she really did.
Dominated that platform.
But then my sad was Sarah in tears, because she got the silver, and they fought. They fought. Well, they fought well, but I think she missed, didn't she, Sarah? She missed her Was it her last clean and jerk? I can't remember, but the emotion on her face hurt my heart. It really did. And I actually messaged Matt, the CEO, because he knows her well,
yes.
and said, please tell her from me, how much appreciation I have for her, because she didn't have anything. I mean, she did have something to be upset for, but in my eyes, she had nothing to be sad about, because the way she performed and who she is as an athlete is incredible. So it was. I was really, really privileged to see the two of those on the platform together and then on the podium. And actually the way they all were with one another, the men and the women on the podium, I thought was amazing.
Yeah, I guess just a quick reflection on that really is that, whilst they are all there to compete against each other, there was never, I don't want to say malice, but that you could see that they'd obviously been through quite a heavy lead up to the competition anyway, with all the qualifying period of the year, and they all have known each other from numerous competitions of juniors and leading up to that. But it's, I guess, what you don't see when you're scrolling through Instagram is the relationship that they all have as competitors. That they've got such strong bonds and they congratulate each other, they're hugging each other, they celebrate each other's wins and losses. And so it's, I'm getting goosebumps.
It sort of reminds me
great.
back at the British of Sarah Davies and Aaron, and when Aaron went out to do that clean and jerk to beat Sarah, and Sarah stood and screamed for her to make that lift. She didn't care if it meant that she lost place. And I think that was... Sarah was upset that she'd lost the place, but it wasn't in... there was no malice towards Salford. It was just her own personal reflections. On the platform, they were hugging one another, and so, they'd doing their little selfies. And it was really nice to see them all celebrating together.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe across all of the groups, one of the things that I noted was how much the teams turned up for each other.
Yeah.
So especially
sure.
Team USA.
Yes.
You saw them everywhere. If there was a USA lifter, Team USA were in the crowd.
Yeah.
They didn't, and the Colombians.
The Colombians and Ecuadorians.
The Team Ecuador.
Yeah.
The lifters, I mean, as people will have seen if they follow the Instagram, or my personal Instagram, because I stalked every lifter that was there. Yenny Alvarez sitting 3 seats down, cheering on her teammates. Jordan Dela Cruz was on the front row, cheering on her teammates. That was so... It was really heartwarming for me that they all turn up for one another all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
who
that
else? We had another group on the Saturday.
We did. I can't believe you've forgotten.
I haven't forgotten. Or maybe I had, because I'd sort of deleted the disappointment at the end with Lasha.
Oh, yes. So he turned down his last lift.
Yeah.
And...
That was a bit of a D-bag move, to be honest.
Controversial.
I don't think...
Slating a legend of the sport.
I don't think it's controversial. I mean, just do what Lee Wan-Man did.
Yeah.
Come out on the platform.
We'll come back to that one. But yeah.
But I said that before she even did it. I said he should have just, even if he'd just come out and stood on the platform.
Yeah.
He didn't need to lift the bar if he didn't want to lift the bar.
Yeah.
But just a bit anticlimactic. But anyway, yes, 102s. Other than that, it was pretty epic.
Yeah. So yes, so of course it was Lasha's group.
Yeah.
Lasha and Gore.
Yeah.
Who... I think it was probably a bit of a shame that there wasn't... I thought it was going to be a lot more of a tighter competition. But it wasn't to be on the day. And... yeah, I guess... It was... I think we've said before, we're neither... It's great to see them lift, don't get me wrong, but if we were to choose groups or lifters or weight categories, it would be the earlier groups.
Yes.
Because I think the body weight to weight ratio that they're lifting is, for me, it's more impressive.
Yeah. The thing I find impressive about the 102s is, or the 109s when they're...
Yeah.
Is how quickly they move.
The mobility on them.
Yes, is mad. And I did enjoy David Leety in this group. Like,
Yeah.
he's got a nice character. He's just a nice person. I enjoyed watching him.
Yeah.
From New Zealand. Yeah, and again, like you say, I think I was sort of expecting a bit more competition, which is what we got with the women's 81s. It was competitive. The last lifts were pipping each other to a post.
Yeah.
And I really thought, I never thought we were going to get the 500 out of Lasha.
No.
Like, it was like a pipe dream, wasn't it? It would have been lovely, but it wasn't.
He could have done it a couple of years or 4 years ago.
But not now.
But yeah.
And I will be forever grateful that we were there, because I suspect that's probably the last we'll see of him. And I seem to think that if I was to watch back my videos of him, mostly what you hear me saying at the end, because I video the lift and then I make a really specific effort to zoom in on the lifter as they come off the platform and walk back to their coach, because I've got a real thing about mindset and like reaction. And I think sometimes how I like mapping how an athlete comes off the platform and how they interact with their coach on the way out, and then how they come back out again. And specifically at the Olympics, I think you could really see a pattern with the way lifters, either the way their coach greeted them and then the way they performed next, or the way they came, the attitude they had when they came off the platform and how they lifted next was really stark. And my commentary every time I zoomed in on him was, he's fucked.
Yeah, he didn't look
well.
Yeah.
I didn't think he was going to come out for his next one, because I thought he was going to have a stroke. Like, he looked like he'd ran the Great North Run twice and then got off a platform.
Yeah.
So I think we were really privileged to see it.
Yep. Very quickly on that one as well, we talked about David Leety, but there are a few in that group. Ishiro from Japan as well, Mart Sim from Estonia. When they came out and talk about attitude or charisma on the platform, it was so nice to see that the first 4 lifters or so, it was a buzz, and it was that whole thing of getting the crowd going. They feed off the energy. They were there. They were privileged to be part of the competition. And then there was a done, dusted. Now get to the serious business.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a shame to see, but you can appreciate that. But it was really nice to see those guys coming out and just having a bit of a, I'm at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Let's have some fun.
Again, though, I'm going to say feeling sorry for that group, because that finished at 10:30.
Yeah.
At night.
Yeah.
Like, catch me outside doing that, because there's no way. There's no way I would be weighing in when they had to weigh in and lifting at that time. So real props to them.
Yeah.
I'm saying this about Lasha. I'm not the one that's having to lift at that time of night in a country that I'm not from, under all that pressure. So yeah, props to them.
Yeah, but I think so obviously the comment sort of you made really was that he didn't come out and do his last lift.
Yeah.
Which was fine. He
didn't need to.
He didn't need to. He'd won it. But if that was his last Olympics, which I'm pretty sure it was, to come out and at least stand
just
there and just give the audience that moment, just take some pictures, and appreciate it. As I said, there's other guys. They fought so hard to get there, and they enjoyed every single moment of it. And to get off the platform and not get, at least, I don't know, I would have been snow angeling across the platform. And
I think for me, the reason I referred to it as a D-bag move is because I don't even know that he should have done it for himself. Like, he did look exhausted, and he didn't need to do his last lift. So yeah, don't put yourself through it. Like, I'm the first one to say, put yourself first. But there are people all over the world that have supported him, that watch his videos, that have begged for this 500 kilo total, that went to Paris to see his last competition, what we assume will be his last competition. I think the least you can do when you've been supported like that for the length of time he's been supported is come out and just stand by the bar and say, Thanks for coming.
Do you know what I would have done?
What would you have done? You'd have given me the middle finger. It's like you'd have done.
No, I would have tallied up what would have been the 250, the 500.
I've done
score.
a deadlift.
And no, I would have literally just walked out. It would be like what would have been 275 kilos would have been on the bar or whatever.
Yeah.
And then gone out and then sort of just set up and then went.
Yeah. Or do you remember what Christian did to me with Debbie Aluode when he changed her very last lift to 2,000 kilos, knowing she was going to withdraw, and as the marshal I had to put it through. Just had a joke. Do you know what I mean? I think just something as a swan song like goodbye would have been a nicer gesture than maybe he's just tired.
Not even coming out.
But
But
I think
you called it as well, didn't you? You said you watched him go off the platform after a second. He took his singlet was rolled.
it was
down,
already off. Yeah.
and you said he'll be straight out. He'll be gone. And I was
Yeah.
like, no, he'll take his time. But he went
it's
straight
gone.
to the press conference and that was done.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Yeah, because I said if we get down there now, because there's no way. So the lifters could. There was the door to the warm up area came to like I don't know how to describe it. I don't know. Like a hallway, wasn't really a hallway, but you had your A seats and your B seats, and then a walkthrough. The walkthrough went to BBC Sport and to like a screen for the athletes to talk to their families who were off in different countries that couldn't make it, which I thought was great. That put tears in my eyes sometimes as well. And then there was a quick way through there to get to what was the press conference area that none of us could get to. And as soon as... this time. As soon as he stepped off the platform and I saw him take the arm off of his singlet, and I said to you, like, he's not coming out for his last one. We should move. Not that I ever thought he'd sign anything, but just to have been a bit closer to him, because I didn't think every other lifter had hung around. Even the Chinese, hadn't they? They'd hung around, they'd signed things, they'd done selfies with people, they'd just taken in the moment that people had travelled to see them, and I think I just knew that he would be on a plane and gone.
Yeah.
And we decided not to move, but to be honest, even if we had, that's the fastest I saw him move, was to go from the warm-up area. He bypassed BBC Sport and went straight to the press room, and then we didn't see him. We didn't see Team Georgia anywhere, did we?
No, that's a good point actually.
They were gone, so shame. But we can say we saw him, so tick.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was a very late night on the Saturday.
Yes, I was deceased. Yeah, that was a very late night. That was a long old day, and the food and the weather.
Yes.
And
let's break from the chatting about lifting. So I've got some questions.
Lasha.
My question to you would be, what did you think to the falafel wrap?
The falafel wrap. Aaron will go on about falafel wrap until the day I die, because I've been vegetarian for so long that at one point falafel was the only vegetarian falafel, rice, golden vegetable rice to be specific, or cheese and tomato pasta are the things that I've been raised on, because that's vegetarian food. If you've ever been vegetarian before 2010 or whenever they invented fake meats, can't remember. So I despise... Did you not eat fish? The amount of people ask me that. No, I don't. Listen, falafel is not my thing.
I like falafel.
Yeah, because you've been vegetarian 5 minutes. Give it 20 years and you'll be like, in falafel wraps. It was quite nice. But it was quite nice because it was the only thing that I could eat.
We were starving.
We were starving, yeah. The food was
20 bags of
questionable
fruit pastels and
the
occasional melted. Oh, that melted biscotti bar.
That was okay. That was a bit of alright, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The food was, again, though. What do we expect? I didn't expect anything much better, to be honest. But there was not. I think they probably could have made more money if they put more effort into the food, because there wasn't much choice, and there wasn't many food outlets, and they all sold exactly the same thing. Yeah,
they did better at 2012 when I was there. They had a lot more variation of stalls. But the English are known for being much more culinary ambitious than the French.
Yeah, sure.
They do moan about us, but yet we've got such a wide variety of
And yet all they had to offer
ethnic
was a
foods.
chicken wrap, a falafel wrap,
Yeah.
a carrot in a bun that they were calling a veggie hot dog, or a hot dog.
I didn't see that.
That was genuine. And then there was the time after Ramiro's group when I went off. There was one place in the arena that you could buy food from, and I went in there and had to say to the woman vegetarian, and then show her vegetarian in French on my phone, because I was like, I did not want to accidentally get anything meat. And there was one cheese, questionable, sandwich, because it did not look like a cheese sandwich. I don't know what it looked like, but I was not going to be the one that ate it. And then 2 slices of pizza, but it wasn't really pizza, was it?
No.
It was like a
Grease bread.
flatbread.
It was just
wasn't even
as
a
soon as I bit
flatbread.
into it. It was just oily.
It was weird. It was it probably was like a focaccia, you know.
Yeah, but it wasn't
just not.
focaccia.
I don't know, but it was weird. But that was that, or €12 for a Coke.
Yeah. So that was that. How hot was it?
That hot that on the Sunday we all got a text message from Paris Olympics at 7 a.m. to warn us that it was going to be super hot and to bring umbrellas.
Yeah.
And water, in brackets, still limited to 750ml. Not that they gave you really anywhere to fucking refill it once you got in there. And then they turned the sprinklers on, didn't they?
Yeah.
So when you walked into the arenas, there were like these big metal poles that were like showers that were sprinkling cold water over everybody because it was boiling. It was my skin was not happy. It was that hot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And the arena was air-conned, I'll give them that.
It was all right once you got inside.
And that was still too hot. And didn't appreciate how air-conned it was until we walked outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty hot.
Yeah.
Pretty hot.
What did you think to the mascot?
I don't get it.
It was a hat, wasn't it?
Yeah, I still don't get it. It was all right, wasn't it? I mean, it was...
We got a photo with it.
We did get a photo with it. I was bullied into getting a photo with it.
Yeah.
It was friendly enough. It was on everything. I don't know that I understand it, but then I also don't know that I understood the mascots for the London one. So they were like weird white blobs. They were like Teletubbies. White Teletubbies, weren't they, with the white... You know what I mean? Like white. They were like little white humans.
Can't remember.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what did I think of the mascot? Yeah, it was friendly enough. I thought it did get a little bit wearing, that same joke at the start of every single group where the mascot came out and bicep curled the bar.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah,
Weightlifting.
it was cute. I imagine the kids liked the mascot, and if it meant something to the French, then
Yeah.
fair dues. It wasn't offensive or anything, was it? It was just a bit of a weird hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I didn't get a t-shirt with it on, that's for sure.
What did you think about the banging thing to start the sessions? So they would start off each session by, I can't remember what they called it, but they would invite someone from French sport of history to
Well,
come
not
on.
even just French, did they? Because Peros did it.
Oh, he did, yeah. Peros Dimas came on, and then they got a big staff of some sort and just banged it on the
So,
floor.
controversial opinion from me on that one, I think, because I quite liked it. I just thought it wasn't done well. I think they introduced it every time, didn't they, by saying, in traditional French fashion, we're going to start the games with, and then they named it, and I can't remember the name of it. I think I needed a bit more history to appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably something that I would now be saying, like, oh my God, if they'd said that at the beginning of every group, because we saw so many groups. But I maybe just, if I could have appreciated the history of where it came from, it might have meant a bit more. And if the people they'd gotten to do it... There was one guy they got to do it who was from an island. I can't think. Do you know what I mean? Or was it a woman? But she did it really...
it's a lady.
She did it really well. Like, you could tell that she had a bit of beat about her, and it was really, like, she really banged, like... Great, that's what I want.
Yeah.
But the others, they just sort of came out with this stick, and because the noise was fake, it wasn't the stick noise. They were trying to match the stick to the fake noise. It was daft.
It was a bit...
I'd have just put it on a drum and like, actually got them to bang it, or just get them to bang it, or... You know, I don't know. I liked the concept of it because I quite like that sort of historical significance and trying to make something a little bit like they said traditionally French. And I liked the idea that there was something that was unifying every single sport. Every single sport started the same way, and that was to let the audience know we begin.
Yeah.
I like that. I just think it could have been done better.
Cool.
What did you think?
Yeah, I think if there was more context to it, and certainly if it was done in time, because they were literally just banging the stick followed by a boom.
Yeah,
it was like,
there was one guy and he was totally off beat, wasn't he? Like it went bang and he was like, oh shit.
Just it can't be that difficult. As soon as he pressed the button.
Yeah.
But yeah, then the next one, BWL ambush marketing.
I know. I feel a bit bad that we did it, but also like not. So one of the rules is that so there's a load of stuff that you can't take in, and there's big signs everywhere. One of them was a cat, believe it or not. There was a big sign through to say can't take a cat in.
We had to leave all the cats outside.
You know, yeah, all those cats that we'd travelled halfway across the bloody world to go to France. Anyway, but flags, you could take flags in, but you could only take flags in of the nations of the athletes that were competing, so the national flags. So for us, that would have been a Union Jack. And at one point, I did have 4 Union Jacks in my bag, despite not owning one myself, because I was holding one for everybody else. But we, even though I got searched every time, somehow got the BWL flag in and did take lots of photos with the BWL flag.
We were
everywhere.
all over the place.
Yeah. I'm really proud of that, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, no problem with it. I mean, the fact that I got it on the side of the platform, I got photos of it on the side of the platform. Yeah. I got the technical officials to hold it, and I've got photos of them holding it, and us holding it at the top of the B seats, and you know, we were the only people there with the British weightlifting flag. I think that feels quite special. Cool. Yeah. Whether it was a rule breaker or not, I think that was secretly something BWL probably love to hate. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, a rule we shouldn't have broken, but we didn't. It worked out all right.
Yep.
From my perspective, anyway.
Okay. Nice little interlude. Back on to the last session, which was, I can't remember what that was about, really.
Why did we say?
Why did we say? I don't know. Was there a lifter? Was there a British lifter in that?
There might have been a Team GB lifter in there.
There might have been a Team GB lifter who was who smashed it. Absolutely did it.
Yeah.
Did us proud.
Do you know what? Even if she hadn't got a medal, she did us proud just for her attitude.
Oh, yeah.
I spoke to a friend of mine who knows nothing about the weightlifting and watched almost all of it because we were there and was looking for us in the crowd. And she had messaged me at the end of that group and said that she didn't know Emily or, you know, who she was, but that her attitude and the way she was on the platform was as if she'd won the gold anyway, so they should have just given it to her.
It's a cartwheel
and I was
at the end.
Oh, my heart. The cartwheel was amazing. The cartwheel.
Loved it.
She gave an interview on Radio 4 and she said, GB gymnastics, I'm ready. I'm ready for LA.
Awesome.
Yeah. I love watching Lee Wen lift, don't get me wrong. But, yeah, Emily is something else.
Yeah. No, it was a very, very special group that... and of course we were sat... they'd obviously sold the tickets based off of, I'm guessing, you know, your location when you log on, IP address sort of. So where we were, it was just packed full of Brits.
Well, Emily's family were behind us.
Yeah, Emily's family were behind us.
Which made me feel a bit bad that they were in the seats behind us.
Not at the front.
Yeah. We were closer to the front, like. Also,
But
why did they have to buy tickets? I mean, I know why they had to buy tickets, really. It's just me in an ideal world, isn't it? That's like, give these people... Emily's dad should not have been sat behind us in a shirt covered in her face. Oh no, that's going to make me cry, thinking about all her family sitting there like that. That was...
They weren't that far behind.
No, it was... No, not that they were sitting that far behind. It's just... It was, for me, the emotion of them all sitting there. Like, Kelsey was sat there with a T-shirt that said, "That's my sister."
Yeah.
And then her dad had had that Hawaiian shirt made with her face all over it. And they were all... I don't know. I think that sort of thing makes me emotional. That they were all... So it wasn't even how you expect a family to be supportive, but it was just the joy. Like, it was... You could feel the energy from them. Even before she walked out onto the platform, you could feel it from them. Like, it was that being with them made that even more special, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an amazing competition, and it was nice to see. Certainly, we talked about Lasha, but Lee, when the emotion when she won. You know, she knew that she'd won, and she came off the platform and picked up her coach.
Yeah.
Lifted him up onto the platform.
She's so lovely.
It was a really... I think that's one of my favourite moments.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's the
for
same...
the crowd, for the people that were there for her. You know, she did something. She came out and she waved and she bowed and she said thank you.
Yeah.
And that's to me deserves respect.
Yeah.
And is her showing us respect.
Yeah. So the last lift, she came out, of course, didn't lift and just waved and sort of applauded the crowd and just lived that moment. But then on top of that, when she walked off, the buzzer, of course, went because you still have to follow protocol and the timer ran out. And the commentator said, "That's a no lift."
It was when the commentator said, and her lifting her coach on the platform does not count. But there was that moment, wasn't there, where so we were sat with our friend Lou as well, who we train with, and we were sort of like this, clapping for Park Young because she's great and I really like her. Yeah. But she was sort of Emily's competition, wasn't she? Emily wasn't going to get near Lee, but she could have. So when Park missed that clean and jerk, it was like that moment where everything clenched, and I just thought, Emily's a beast. She's one of those people where if you say you just got to do it, I can fully believe that she'll do it. Yeah. And I sort of feel like that's what happened in Tokyo, wasn't it? Like Dave Sawyer said to her, "It's on the bar. If you want it, you got to do it." And she did it. And obviously her snatch was already a 4 kilo PB in this group. So there was a small bit of me that thought maybe, and I really wanted it, but yes, it doesn't really matter, does it? Yeah. Like it doesn't matter. But it was that one moment where I was literally edge of the seat, like, you know, I never want someone to miss a lift, but when Park did, I was like, maybe it could happen. But yeah, that was a great group to end on.
Special day.
Yeah, it was a really, really good. Well, I think who else was? Oh, Mary, Thighs and Lap.
Yes, we got a few others to mention in that group. It was...
Yeah. Mary's another one that
Mary's great.
Just, again, saddest moments. Yeah, I had a lot of sad moments. Yeah. Mary's face.
We saw her the day before, didn't we?
Yeah, we stopped and spoke. So I'd spoken to her.
A picture with her.
And I'd spoken to her previously just over Instagram a couple of times when you were injured, and we were chatting about front squats and stuff. And so I have actually messaged her since, because she was so sad. And it sort of, again, hurts my heart that she was so sad, because she got to the Olympics. She started weightlifting at 28 years old, having done track and shot put and sort of just sort of falling into weightlifting because a coach of hers said, have you give it a go because you're strong? And I sort of relate with her a little bit, because she always says that the strength was never a problem. Like, I was always, when I started weightlifting, a hell of a lot stronger than I have ever lifted, because my mobility and technique has always held me back. And she was sort of saying the same, that she's just super strong, and her technique is what's held her back. So it's her first time at the Olympics. It doesn't matter. To me, it didn't matter.
It was an achievement just to get there.
Yeah, just to be there. And I know now that that's probably what she's thinking, but I also know on the day, watching her face, I could have cried.
Yeah.
I really could, because I really wanted her to feel pride when she walked off that platform. But I just think the qualification period's been brutal for them.
Yeah.
It really has.
She mentioned it again. She was doing like a Q&A thing on Instagram, and that came up as one of the sort of answers to a question.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah.
I'm not surprised, but I hope now that they've had time to sort of step back, that she can feel a little bit more positive about what she did, because she's I really like her. She's just such a pleasant, like I say, having spoke to her on Instagram, who am I for her to be having a chat with about zombie squats, really? But she always gives time. Like, was so polite when we stopped her to speak to her in the back corridors, and I just have a lot of time for her.
Yep.
And the other one that I wanted to bring up was Lasha, the Ecuador. I think I've mentioned her already, but we really liked her, didn't we?
The energy that she brought onto the platform. And I didn't say when we were talking about the whole coming on and sort of jeering up the crowd, but she one of the things that she would do, they had obviously the say chalk stand, and she would get chalk on her hands, and then she would stand next to it and listen and look and take it all in, and she would do that, and then she would walk out onto the platform and then whack her hands together, and this plume of chalk dust
everywhere
appeared, and she walked through it and went to lift. And it was each of the lifts, and it was really one of those moments that is a highlight.
Yeah,
I'll never forget that.
She is. I didn't really know of her.
No?
I'll be honest. I think once I had searched her, I recognised her from a couple of older international comps, but not enough to have ever picked her out or anything. But she will be someone I'll look out for now, because watching her was incredible, and her energy was. Her energy made you want her to win, just because of how lovely she seemed. But what you've just said there about taking in a minute, as much as I was filming them coming off the platform, the other thing I did was film them from the minute they came out the door, because I'm fascinated by, which comes from Alex McKay actually. She started my my thing with this, is watching people's routines, and they all have a routine, and it really has really started to cement with me in the gym that it's something that you really need to if you want to take your training. I mean, not everybody does, a lot of people just train for training's sake, but when there's sessions that I really want to try and take seriously, it needs to be with that sort of same setup, the amount of them that on my videos you can see having a conversation with themselves, saying, you've trained for this, you want this, you've earned this is what we're here for. It was giving me goosebumps watching them. Some of them turn their back on the platform, so they've got a moment to themselves. Some of them stand back for a second. Emily obviously does her
calming.
Yeah, and I don't even think that's her telling the crowd to be quiet. No. I think that's her just being like, let's go. And I just love it. I love that they've all got their own little thing, but it's so consistently their own thing that it's built into who they are and the way they lift. And it's almost like part of why they're successful. Yeah. Because they've got a routine. It's like you with your arse bobbing with your snatchers. Like it's something that you do, and when you do it, you know that lift means something. If you don't do it, then I know that lift doesn't mean anything to you. But when you do, I know it's important. And then it's like, obviously they do it for every lift, because every lift matters. And that's the difference, isn't it? With an Olympian's mindset is even the bar matters. No, it's there's a lot to learn, I think, when you watch it for more than just the rankings.
Yep.
Which might have been a lot of what I took away from being there, really. Yeah.
Cool. One other thing from me about taking away from, or what to take away from the Olympics, or from the weightlifting at the Olympics, was the general support. I thought it was amazing, absolutely just phenomenal. Phenomenal. The support there was just great. Also, the amount of Brits there that we've also mentioned was just incredible.
Oh, yeah, but I'm going to go back to that because that wasn't just for Sunday.
No.
That was just in general. Yeah. I think British weightlifting should be proud. I said this at the time. I said, Matt has got to be, quite joyful, really, for how many people from his organisation rocked up to support and be there and just experience the lifting, because we dominate. On the Sunday, we dominated. The noise for Emily was insane. I don't know that really comes across on the stream. No, so I watched it when I came back. But in life, when people were banging their feet and the cheering and the screaming, and
I saw that stadium bit where it was seated, it was going to collapse.
Honestly, it was amazing.
Yeah.
And when Emily spotted, when she came down to do her interview with BBC Sport, and she spotted her whole family and she cried.
I was going to say,
again, the tears, they're going to come into my eyeballs. I can't do it. There's just that was a lot. Yeah. So I thought that was amazing. The support. Yeah.
And then the next thing was the media attention. The stadium, it was sort of sided in a, let's say, horseshoe type thing, and then the back of it was pretty much all devoted to media. So whether it be
straight on, wasn't
photographers,
if our camera is the platform, all of us would be media, and then everything else was for spectators, really, wasn't it? So there would be a slither here and a slither on your side that were seats for spectators, and that's where we managed to get for women's 81s, which was great spots. But otherwise, you were side on, weren't you?
Yeah, it was amazing. My only question, I guess, would be, so I've already seen a couple of the lifters post some stuff. I think BWR got some of Ramiro, which from Getty Images. Well, I mean, there were so many photographers there. So where did all these pictures end up?
I was looking at their passes, and
the news outlets
obviously actually went to. Not that there was some like big shots, but we because we were so fascinated by how much media attention there was there, and yet how little to us weightlifting seems to be of a sport. I sort of went off to try and look at how does the IOC, so the International Olympic Committee, allocate media spots, and a lot of that's down to broadcasting. So a lot of those that were just seated were live broadcasters for other countries, so not just Discovery, because Discovery was almost exclusively for England and the US, I think. But so they were either broadcasting.
So they'd sold rights to other. Right,
yeah. Okay. Or a lot of the photographers were from China. And so this brings me on to my question for you, which we will get to when I have then explained this bit. So I had to put the VPN on my laptop to get to Team China's weightlifting.
You should be saying this.
I'm going to get to Team China's weightlifting federation's website, because I don't know that I really understand the laws or why you can't see their stuff. But like you can't, like how you can go to BWL's website, you can't do that for Team China. You have to be in China. So I made it so my laptop thought it was in Hong Kong and looked at Team China's weightlifting federation website, which is amazing. Like they've got so many like articles and stuff on there. It was really interesting to have a little read of, and went off and found the video of us in the background of the really sad thing that happened at the end that we'll come back to. But a lot of their website, and they've got their own version of Instagram, their like own Chinese social medias, was flooded with professional photos from the weightlifting. So I think a lot of the photographers there might have been from
Okay.
nations, and the rights to those photos are being sold within those nations, so we're not seeing them.
Yep, makes sense.
So maybe it's just that we didn't have any media there, and that's why we're not seeing them. Oh, hello, cat.
Hello, buddy cat.
Of course you're going to get in the way right now. Oh, let me move that. Come and go. So that brings me to my only question that I ended up actually writing down for you. No, I had a few, but my favourite question that I was going to ask you was... Hold on. What was it like for you falling head over heels into Shijayong?
Yes.
So for context, at the end of Women's 87, the entire of Team China, and Team China are quite elusive, aren't they, really? I mean, they don't stay in the Olympic Village, they have their own house. And as I've just said, you got like VPN on to see any of their stuff. We saw the coach once in the A seats. I got a sneaky photo of him because he looks mean, man. Like,
you don't want to mess around with
I don't
him.
want to be coached by him. I mean, you're mean sometimes, but he looked like mean. But they all came down the B seat aisle to meet Li Wenwen at the end of the 87s, right where we were sitting. And Aaron's obviously, as he said, a bit of a fanboy for Team China, and is not the kind of person that would ever ask someone for an autograph or a photo. We've always been like that, the pair of us.
Yeah.
We've always said, I don't understand
Just
why.
don't get it.
I don't get why people ask for somebody's autograph. And maybe I still don't, because I don't know that I would have asked any of them for an autograph. But I did chase Olivia Reeves down for a selfie.
Yeah.
And so Team China were walking down, and Li Fabin walked down, and then Liu Honghua walked down, and obviously you really like him. And then she stood at the end of our aisle, and me and Lou, our friend from the gym, were bullying him. I think he was getting a bit annoyed. To like get down there for a photo, and you could see the cogs whirling of like, I really want to.
I did really want to, but I didn't want to.
But I don't want to. And we sort of just pushed him. And he fell into him.
He actually had to hold
He
me
actually
up.
had to catch him.
Yeah.
Favourite moment.
Yeah. And as I managed to grab onto him like that, I had my hand on his back, and my God.
The muscle.
They were like bricks. Honestly. And bearing in mind, he was limping the day before.
Yeah.
The day before.
Yeah.
After, obviously, he's carrying a few injuries, hence the
bomb.
bomb, unfortunately. I'm so sad about that. But so whilst he was injured, I decided to fall
on
into
him. Fall into his arms.
Fall into his arms.
Yeah, head over heels
Look
for
into
him.
my eyes. Yeah.
I mean, you did
what a
get an
legend.
amazing photo with him, though. I mean,
I don't know. I think I'm looking really
the ones Chloe got
geeky.
better.
Really.
Yeah, I think so. I don't have a copy, so the one that went online is not great. Well, you didn't send me them because you were being a bit cagey, but
Yeah.
I think
nice
and he
to-
was really pleasant about it, wasn't he? I mean, there were three of us taking photos of you, and he stood for a good while whilst we did.
Yeah.
But yes, if we're
But
going,
that culminated in.
yeah, if we're going for saddest moment for me, it was that. It was when they. So, it was also it was a beautiful moment, but the reason that they'd all come down there was to meet Li Wenwen at the bottom, and they pushed Xi down to the front, and they all put their medals around his neck, and got the flag, and sang. I can't remember what it is that they were saying, but it was something about strength in numbers and being strong. I can't remember, but obviously it was in Chinese, but it was very emotional, and you could feel the emotion, and we photobombed it in the back, didn't we? Well, not
Ruined
photobombed it, but
it wasn't that bad. We were just in the background.
we were just in the background of it, which was why I VPN'd on, because I wanted that video. That's a moment that you'll never. I mean, I can't believe
very
that.
special.
I can't believe we were there to see it, let alone that we're in the video of it. It was a really special moment, but it was so sad. And then to see his post the next day, where he said, let the old give way to the young. Oh God!
Bear in mind, he's not. It's just unfortunate that his body's given out.
I don't
he's
think
just
he
got
means
to that point.
old by
No.
age. He just means, there's somebody better than him now, and he wants to support Risky, so let him.
Yeah.
But sad. That was sad, but in a really beautiful way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a fitting ending, and then I made you take a selfie just in general, because I was very aware that we'd maybe taken for granted that we'd been in that stadium every day for 4 days, and we would never be in there again. And it was a really emotional moment for me, that we'd done everything we do in weightlifting and everything that weightlifting means for us. It felt like that was a really big thing for To The Bar. Obviously that's what we'd gone representing To The Bar, and not just to enjoy it personally, but to enjoy it from that point of view. So maybe just the ending of it, and realising that we'd worked for a year to get there, and then it was done. Yeah. Anyway, now it's LA.
Yeah, 4 years' time.
Yeah. So what was your biggest takeaway moment from it?
I think the support for it. I think it's great to see that I guess slightly biased in a way that we were at a weightlifting competition, so there's always going to be a lot of support, but there was so much love for it, and it gave me a newfound love for the competition aspect of it again. I think, and I loved how everyone just embraced it. It was great. I think certainly as well from just the Olympics as a whole. I think the Paris was fantastic. A lot of Parisians decided to bugger off, just as a lot of Londoners did when it was over here.
Yeah.
So it was very quiet they closed off so many streets, so you were able to walk around without much hassle. Transport was great. Well, taxis. Food was lovely outside.
No dramas with the Ubers. Yeah, that was super easy.
Cheap. Everything outside of it was super cheap, apart from those bloody cocktails. But
not that we drink, so.
But inside I think it was pricey. But it's the Olympics, of course. It's going to be pricey.
You're going to pay for it.
But I loved it. It.
Yeah, I just was looking at my other questions, and I think we've pretty much covered them, really. My other one was, did you think the A-class tickets were worth it?
No. No. And so very quickly on that. So one thing about the referees and the technical officials that I guess a lot of people don't see on the television. So the platform's about 1 metre high. The referees sit in their 3 positions.
There's a video on the Instagram.
Oh, that you put on there.
I filmed it specifically so that people could see the layout that you don't see on the TV.
And then on top of the platform, you've obviously got the safety barrier. If they drop the bar forward and it bounces off and doesn't want to kill the referees, don't kill referees. We're all good, I promise. And then behind that was also a rail where a camera would go, which quite a few times I saw obscuring the view of the referees. So for everyone out there slating referees, making shit decisions, bear in mind that it's not as simple as it just is a tier 3 competition where they're just sat on the same level in front of the lifter, a couple of metres away from the lifter. It is not like that.
I also would add that I imagine there's a lot, I feel pressure at the British on the Marshall's table. And I love the Marshall's table, and I could do it with my eyes closed. And I know that everybody in British weightlifting has got my back. You're like a little family, right? And I hate it when people say that about work colleagues and things, but you are. But I still feel pressure not to muck anything up, because the athletes have worked so hard to get there. So for me, the refs, there's the pressure of the fact that it's the Olympics. There's the pressure for the athletes, because no ref, I would hope, is reffing for anything other than for the athletes, But then, on top of that, you'd got the president of the IWF wandering around. You'd got Matt, as lovely as we know Matt is, was the technical delegate from the executive board of the IWF, sitting behind the jury. So to any other refs from any other country, he's an executive board member that's there to make sure that the technical officials, the technical running of the competition was done correctly. There was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
You know, we saw the president of the IWF, Matt, kindly introduced us on the street of Paris, and he was a lovely guy. But if I was a ref and he was stood behind me, I think that would feel... And I know you train for that, and you ref lots of different events to be able to get to an Olympics, but I think it's just humanising it a little bit. It's really easy to... And we've done it, even on this podcast, I've said about the jury with Nino. Like, you can easily say, what on earth? But unless you're there, and unless you're in that situation, it's really difficult to actually judge it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think props to them for giving up how much time they must have given up to get to the Olympics to begin with, because we wouldn't be able to ref at an Olympics for another 10 years, I don't think.
No.
For how much free time you have to give up, and how many different international competitions you have to go to.
Experience. Yeah.
How much you have to pay. I mean, you've got your card now, your IWF card for Cat 2.
Yeah.
So you have to be Cat 1 to get to the Olympics. And it costs $200 to get the card, and then you have to renew that every 2 years.
So I've just bought mine early on this year, and I've got to renew it next month.
Yeah, so a year, and that's $200 after paying to sit the exam, after paying to sit the 2 exams that we do for BWL, and doing all of the hours that you have to do for your BWL level 2 before you can do your level 3. So it's just the context of... Sometimes refs make shit decisions, but in weightlifting they're very rarely paid.
Yeah.
And it's not to excuse it, but it's just to... the point of To the Bar originally was to contextualise the TOs. And I think, they were really long days, and I was exhausted as somebody that sat there and just cheered those people on. So to have had to have sat with the pressure of making or breaking somebody's Olympic dream for 12 hours a day, I think was a lot. Yeah. And they did well.
Yep.
Yeah. And technically, the competition ran great.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know that there was ever really a break, a technical fault.
No.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that was the end of the Olympics. Done, dusted, 4 years' time, LA. Yeah, looking forward to that one. So... That means our next... Well, what would have been our next competition that we'd been reffing at, and then probably would have done a podcast after that, would have been the Lift Me Up competition that Emily Musket, of course, organises in aid of motor neurons. We can't make it. We're gutted. So real shame about that, but... Please support it. We'll post stuff on To the Bar.
Yeah.
But if not, if you don't want to look at our stuff, why are you watching? But look at Lift Me Up.
Look at
or Emily's Emily Musket's Instagram.
Yeah, the link to donate will be in the bio. Everything, all the money that she raises goes to Motor Neuron Disease Association, and it's really close to our hearts because of how much Emily means to us and how much that charity means to Emily. So, if you want to support us, the best way that you can do that for this episode and for the next episode, for me personally, is by giving money to the Lift Me Up GoFundMe. Yeah. If you want to buy us a coffee, put the money into Lift Me Up.
Yeah, and even if it's just to buy some of the lottery tickets,
the raffle
tickets, because there's an Aleco training camp.
Yeah, there is a trip to the Aleco head office training camp. I mean, and listen, the raffle tickets are worth it because I spent 20 quid last year, and direction over there is a competition, Aleco women's barbell and collars.
I can't believe it.
That I found out I'd won in the queue in Sainsbury's. We were in Sainsbury's and I showed you the phone and was like, does that say I've just won a barbell? And a week later it arrived. So it's not one of those raffles that you put 20 quid in and you don't get. Trust me, because it's sitting there. I've done many a barbell curl with it.
So there's that, and I guess so that would then lead us on to our next podcast, which we're hoping to have a very special guest. No names yet, but as a clue, he went to watch the Olympics and he complained about the jury quite a bit.
So I've just
in a tongue-in-cheek way.
I'm going to say, but do you know what I've just realised, though? Is that clue could make it one of two people.
Oh, God.
Exactly. And I'm really refraining from commenting here. But I would only have one of them on, put it that way. No, don't even look at me like that. It's not occurring.
Really? Both on?
No, just no. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's all from us this time. Hope we haven't bored you to death or to tears on this...
on the Olympics.
Epic, thank you, Seb, rundown of what we saw and experienced. It really was a fantastic time.
Yeah.
Sad that it's over, but happy we got to experience it.
Yeah, and hopefully it's been useful. I always think we just trying to share the bits that maybe aren't as accessible if you aren't in places, and so for us really being able to share a little bit more about what goes on behind the scenes and stuff is probably more important, and hopefully that's what people like to hear. But you can always let us know in the comments or in the feedback box on Spotify if you wanted to give us a like or a follow or leave some comments there. That would be great, and let us know what you think about the episode and if there's anything else that you'd actually want us to talk about, so we aren't just sitting here rambling and inviting on whichever random guests say yes that they'll come and speak to us, really. So yeah, give us a hit up. And considering the last time we did an episode, we were actually asked these t-shirts, if Aaron wants to lean in, yes, you can buy them. They are linked in the bio. There is a store. You can buy a t-shirt, a hoodie, a hat, whatever you fancy, with the bar logo on, if you're so inclined. They do exist, mainly for us, but they're there. So if you wanted one, links in the bio. Yeah, thank you very much for listening.
Cheers.
And we'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the Bar, Strength in Every Story. Thanks so much for listening. We're so happy to have you as a member of our community. We have a passion for weightlifting, but we also have an insatiable curiosity about everyone's story. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on Instagram at _2_the bar. And be sure to hit the website at 2-thebar.com. See you next time on To The Bar. And remember, there's strength in every story.